So, Professor Abe, thank you for joining us. Let me just jump right in. Tell me about 3/11, 2011. Where were you? How did you find the news? How did it affect your life?
Josh, thank you very much for the invitation. Actually, when it happened, I was in my home, actually checking my email through internet. That was the evening, and all of a sudden the notification popped up saying that there's a huge earthquake hit Sendai, where I'm from, and I have an office there, and I have my parents living there. I didn't think too seriously about it until I tried to call my parents. And then I couldn't actually reach them. The phone was always busy, and actually, I couldn't reach them for 3 days. And then all of a sudden, I started to see horrible images, horrible news coming in. I started to get really worried. And to be honest, I didn't know what to do until I actually talked to my brother 3 days after and check if my family is fine or not. And thankfully, they were all fine. I started to see many people on the street of Los Angeles asking actually for help, mostly trying to raise funds to support East Japan. You know, I really felt same and also sympathetic to these people because you can't just stay still and you have to do something because you are away from your home, because you are not there, but still you feel pain. So I think that was a kind of feeling I had in the first couple of weeks. I couldn't really do much until I actually started to participate the arcade.
So, I read that you implemented over 38 projects over the course of the 5 years that you involved these architects and universities from across the country. Could you describe a few of the arcade projects that you found most meaningful and kind of the ones that you think this is what I remember in terms of the contributing to the reconstruction efforts in Tohoku?
Actually, there are many projects and also in different kind of nature. A very unique one is an exhibition called Lost Home Project, initiated by Professor Tsukihashi. And this is actually the workshop and exhibition to show the model. It's about the 1/500th scale model of the community being destroyed. And they actually reconstructed the destroyed town and they had a conversation with the resident to actually recall the memory of the town that they lost. So they actually built a 58 models, huge models for 48 area. They did a 41 workshops and then they did a 39 exhibition. And 38,000 people participated. And this was great because in this way, this kind of sharing the memory of the town they lost was used to unite the people together and also help them to think about the reconstruction and also connect them to the future idea of the community. So as you can see, we actually did not just work on just reconstruction, but we tried to deal with the recovery of the community from many angles.
I guess I wonder if you can share some of your key conclusions that you drew and the conference drew, particularly on the role that architects can play in Tohoku's reconstruction. Because in the way you talk about it, it's not just about the past and what they lost, it's about finding a brighter future and kind of building back better in some ways.
So we had this kind of two sort of a role. One is help the reconstruction. The other one is to educate the student through this reconstruction effort. I believe there are so many students who worked on this reconstruction effort by Archi+Aid, and also participated to the seminars and lectures. So I do believe that the students who went through this experience has learned a lot, and hopefully they will reflect this experience into their future activity. Regarding the reconstruction effort, you are looking at all the successful cases, and most of the publication and symposium will focus on the successful cases, but there are so many failures as well. Great things about Archi+Aid's activity is that if you think of the reconstruction effort like a kind of a machine or the river, it's just going towards one direction, which is how we can actually rebuild the community as it was. And then there are so many details kind of forgotten because it's a huge machine initiated by the central government. When we actually jump into the small community, and then you realize that actually these community unnecessarily have a connection to participate into such kind of a reconstruction process. Sort of it's hard for them to really think about their own future in this process. So we actually came in, collaborated with them, and to kind of produced, visualized their future images, and then try to communicate with central government or sort of major stakeholder in this reconstruction process, so that they can absorb some of the idea from local community. And some are really successful, but some we couldn't really sort of a bridge this sort of a community ideas with a strong stakeholder to be projected into the larger plan. So sometimes actually those kind of effort were ignored. This is something that maybe we need to think about toward the maybe the future, how we can actually mediate the sort of a large sort of a reconstruction effort together with a small sort of a community effort, and how we can kind of bridge them together for the better future.
I really appreciate that image of kind of, we always tend to focus on the successes and the buildings that are made versus the ones that were never made. And maybe they were great ideas, but for whatever reason, the connection between the community and the stakeholders isn't there. And the architect in some ways bridges the two. So I really appreciate that. We're now at the 10-year mark of this triple disaster, and many people in Japan and around the world who are affected by this will be commemorating it. Looking back at the 10 years of this history, what lessons have you learned from Archi+Aid, the experience that you think are important for future generations, and more broadly for architects to take out of this disaster and kind of the work you've been doing in that region this whole time?
What I learned through my experience in this huge tragedy is that the architecture is such a positive profession. And in case of disaster like March 11th, where people cannot feel or sense the positive future, architect actually could help working together with the people or community to think about this believable, hopeful future together. Through communication, through collaboration, through workshop, and it really became some sort of a catalyst to create some positive sort of atmosphere so that the people can trust where they are and they can stay. The biggest problem of this disaster was that many people couldn't wait, couldn't believe where they are, and they moved, and that emptied the community, and that will be the actual death of the area. So I think that the architect can really contribute to regain the trust of the people to the land, to the location, to the community. And that's something that I learned, and that's something that a future generation should think about. And also, again, it was really easy to get together with these positive people and who has actually skill and passion to contribute to. And this is also something that you can count on if you worked in this profession.
Professor Abe, I want to thank you for the work you've been doing for the region and also just the incredible uniqueness and the value that Archi+Aid provided to Tohoku and also the example it provides for us even this many years on. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much. And also, it's a 10th year anniversary. And we shouldn't really forget about this tragedy. And we need to really kind of tell future generation what happened and how we dealt with. Thank you.